How we doing this bright, early, dry Monday morning, folks? I don't think the old Komatsu is quite warmed up yet. May need to do a little hydraulic machine calisthenics here and get the hydraulics warmed up. Hopefully this is going to work out. That light is actually not blinding you guys, and it is showing me. A little different. I want to do a kind of a explanation of why, and then a extra special story time that is absolutely on the other side of the spectrum of every story time we've ever done. And what I mean by the explanation is story time came about by, I noticed that on my channel and others, a lot of times when I go watch somebody else's video, I will, unless it's a oh my God, you can't believe this type situation, I will pause the video and go through the comment section and read the comments first and see what, kind of comments are coming out. And I think it kind of helps me bring the content and different ideas and views and such that the people on my channel want to see. But a lot of times I notice that the people commenting, asking questions, the subscribers will ask the same, different people will ask the same question several times. May not be several times in the same video, but several different times. Like, hey, Ricky, how old are you? And so Ricky replies to that person, well, Thomas J. Woodcutter, new subscriber, didn't see that comment, doesn't look at the comments or whatever, so ask again. So you kind of get what I'm getting at here is. So anyway, story time is kind of a way to bring out more of me. Show who, what, where, why, when, all of that, of who West Coast Logging is, where it came from, what, all of that. Because, let's face it, us that do these social media, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff, you are absolutely putting yourself out in the public, and they want to know who you are. They want real life, emotional, physical, mental situations, not simulated, scripted drama BS. They want to see, the real stuff. They're real people, don't want their time wasted, so on and so forth, and they want to, the person that they are taking this time to watch the videos, comment, help support their channel, their site, their whatever. They want to know who you are. And, not just West Coast Logger, they want to know your personal life too. I honestly 100% believe that some things just should not be on social media. But I also want to give you the best experience on my channel that I can. So, and I've experienced a lot of different things. Drugs, alcohol, pain, physical, mental, stuff like that I absolutely have no problem sharing. And part of the reason why is to maybe keep somebody else from ever having to endure that. It also puts you a little more into perspective of the things that, you know, like the kid that we sent down the hill on the plastic barrel. That was that was awesome. You know, I am an adrenaline junkie type, not as much now that I'm older, broke down, and pain really does hurt, and it sticks around for a long time now. But anyways, you kind of get what the point I'm getting at. So, and it also, I've said several times that the guy that pulled rig in and tended hook for all those years is not the same guy that's running this loader. I have a way better attitude. I am a lot more easier to get along with. I'm more accepting of other people's whatever. Anyway, so you get the point there. So this story time, and like I say, a lot of details are going to be left out. The gore, the blood, so on and so forth, is 100%, 180 turn from our normal fun time, goofy, silly stuff. And it is on the death and injury side of logging. So that type of stuff bothers you, you don't want to hear about it, so on and so forth right now, just hit the like and leave. But like I say, some things are left off better not said. So there will be some details that I will not put in, names, companies, landowners, so on and so forth. And if you ask in the comments, I will not answer some, you know, these questions that I am avoiding, because there are absolutely some things that need to be left alone and not put on social media. So with that being said, the situation is, I'm not going to give you a time frame or anything like that, because there's too much about it that any one little thing could set a person, and it's a sensitive situation. Anyway, so it was in the winter. It was nasty, horribly nasty. Been raining for days. And wind, oh my God, it was windier than hell. About 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we are communicated to by CB that a thinning crew down at the bottom of our truck road had an injury and needed help packing this, you know, packing out. So up the hill in the crummy, normally was about a 20-minute drive to where they were working, and then a little bit farther to the bottom of the hill, another 20 minutes or so. Like I say, we were logging, we were yarding when we got the call. 28 minutes after we were communicated to or told they needed help, we were on site. So that was pretty good. As it turns out, it was 3 guys, not 1. The whole crew got wiped out. Like I say, they were thinning. A few things, they should not have been working at all because the weather was absolutely against them. The wind, the rain. We had so much moisture in the last, few days. The ground was soft, and the wind was like 40, 50, 60 mile an hour gusts with 30 mile an hour sustained winds. You should not be thinning in those conditions. On their side of it, they were a company from out of town, and it had been staying in a motel for like almost a year. So they were just a few days from finishing the job. That's why they were pushing it. So I get why the crew pushed it. I don't understand why the owner and the other supervisor, woods boss, whatever, that was on site did not stop them. And these guys that stopped them or did not stop them so that they could get the unit finished and get home had not been staying all week, every week, the whole year. They had went home during the week, so they failed them there. Anyway, so we get there. The owner, their woods boss, a mill representative, the owner of my company, and then another representative from the mill was on site. 5 guys that all had the position and the ability to lead the rescue attempts, to put everybody in the position that they needed to be, cover all the bases and get this going. Every one of them failed. The one guy that absolutely should have been on top of everything was the mill representative. He had every situation that could have ever arose simulated, in packets, and what to do here, what to do there, this, that, another, at his exposure right there. He had top of the line radio communication, cell phone, and a sat phone. Okay, so in any situation, any spot that he is going to be in the timber in our region, he will have communication to emergency response, lifeline, so on and so forth, because they've got it covered. Plus, he also had the ability, the funds available if it was going to, if you needed blankets, for the people that were injured, or water and protein type supplies for the rescuers. This wasn't going to be a quick trip. He had all that stuff. This is what he did. For hours, he sat in his pickup and stared out. Now this guy was very good at his job. He knew what he was doing. He was a damn good logger. Every aspect of his job, he exceeded. But when it come to a safety, a real trauma situation, emotionally, mentally, he lost it. He failed. Anyway, so one of the biggest things in an injury or a rescue attempt is time. You never get time back. You have to utilize every second to the best as it can be used to try to save this person or person's lives. We'd been there for a few minutes and absolutely nobody was directing what needed to be done. And it's a very high tense, high drama situation. So there are several people trying to get something done. They're not, so it's more of chaos. I've never had a problem leading a crew. I've never had a problem telling people what to do. And in a situation like that, I don't care if you are my supervisor and I say something that you don't like and it offends you, I absolutely will do it. To do everything I can to in a timely fashion, try to save these injured people's lives or get them to medical attention. So I end up taking over and I start barking off orders. You've got to make decisions like this and get things started. And once they're started, then you can look at the people that are in those positions and say, no, you come over here and do this, you go do that. While you're making these decisions, you've got to decide whether this person is physically and mentally able to be, helping you pack this person out. You put a 150-pound person dead weight in a basket on any kind of adverse terrain, and it takes 7 people, everything they got, to pack them. So I start putting what I think's the right people in the right positions. People that were physically unable, I had them on radios. You get in the pickup, get out here to where you have clear, cellular service to ambulance service and life flight. Do not, stay on the line with them. We will give you the medical updates as soon as we can. The EMTs are here. They're going over the hill with me, so we can do this stuff. Start giving life flight, longitude, latitude, GPS, all that stuff. Get that bird here. We have 3 men down. We don't have time to mess around and decide whether we need a bird or not. And where we were logging, the closest town was Rinky Dink, and if they had a hospital medical facility, they weren't going to be able to take care of these people. So we were going to need a bird anyways. You know, and we were on the coast, and it was about 1,800 feet to where they were, and it was steep, and it was brushy. Oh my God, salal, vine maple, devil's club, everything you could think of was against us. It was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It was going to be dark before the first person even got up there. It was cold, it was raining, the wind was blowing. Every aspect was against us to begin with. So the first thing, we're going down the hill with the baskets. We've got to assess them, start, you know, the initial first aid, figure out who's the worst, get them in the basket and get them up the hill. Well, we need a route. Normally your route would be up your skid road because your logs are knocking the brush down and so on and so forth. But we'd gotten so much rain and they didn't have much lift, so they were dragging the logs quite a ways. Mud was about that deep. That ain't gonna work. So the guy that was running yarder and a truck driver, they wanted to help. Physically, they wouldn't have made it halfway up the hill the first trip, and they would have been hindering us. So I'm like, you two grab chainsaws and a gas and start cutting a trail. We're headed down, you know, we're gonna get these guys ready to come up. We need a path with less resistance. So these guys start down the hill cutting a trail so that we can come up with the least amount of resistance as possible. Now, by the time we get the first guy to the top, and like I say, it's a couple hours, these guys have cut a 20-foot strip. It had to have been 20 feet wide. And I swear to God, they took it to bare ground. No brush, no roots, no limbs, nothing. This one guy was 200 pounds overweight, and I would have never expected him to make 5 steps over the bank. He walked up and down that hill, made sure there was absolutely nothing in our way. It was the guys, it was great. The only people that actually failed was, like I say, the one guy that should have been in control of everything, and the system. Which I'll explain in a minute. Morning. So anyways, there was an older guy on site, and I don't know where he come from, but he had to have been late 70s, early 80s. He was old, and he was frail. Cane, he was bent over, sunk in eyes, but he was a pain in my ass because he wanted to help. He was there, available, and would do anything I asked or told him to do to help rescue these guys. So, and this is I'm pretty proud of this. I get this old boy the information that he needs for the funds that are available to, you know, get supplies for the rescue attempts, rescuers, so on, stuff. I tell him this is not going to be a quick, you know, we're going to be here a while. So we're going to need blankets. We're going to need water, Gatorade, hydration type stuff for the guys that are here, the packers, and you know, protein bars, protein drinks, food. It's, you know, becoming 4, 5, 6 o'clock at night now, and these guys are used to eating steak and potatoes for dinner. I'm like, so we need hydration, we need protein, and we need substance. Go to your local little beer stop, hit the deli, get I don't care if it's pork, chicken, whatever. This old man, and he was so happy. This guy comes back, and he has a 1980 model Ford 1-ton long bed, 4-wheel drive, absolutely stacked to the roof of he had a canopy with cases of water, cases of Mountain Dew. I bet there was 1,000 pieces of fried chicken and JoJo's in this truck. But we were going to need it, you know, type situation. Plus, we needed light. We had like one headlight and 2 flashlights, and we're down in this hole 1,800 feet. I'm like, you buy every flashlight, every headlight, you know, we're not going to be able to be holding them. I go, get lights that we can put on or whatever. So this old boy, he brings back just sacks full of lights, batteries, and 500 tiki lamps. And at first, I didn't put, oh, damn. Anyways, so what they did is they took those tiki lights and lined them down that path that they had cut for, you know, us to get in and out of. Ended up, I mean, it looked like a damn airport landing strip. It worked out awesome. The old guy, and he was extremely proud of himself and happy to do what he done. And he absolutely was a factor in rescuing these guys, and he felt it. And so I was glad that he was able to do that. But because I think he can get off right there. Stop it. Anyways, so check it out. I still gotta take my chain off. By the time we get the first guy to the landing, well, first of all, let's back up. The EMTs, and I've said this several times, we need to be thankful of our first responders, police, fire, EMTs, medical, so on and so forth. These 3 EMTs that were first on site, they made step for step, and I was fairly impressed. Down the hill, through the brush, everything needed to be done, and then packing these guys, they made every step right beside us. And most of us were seasoned, experienced brush hands. So that was pretty cool. After the first initial assess, 2 guys were very critical, and 1 had already expired. They think that he had a lot of injuries, but was still under the tree. So they think that honestly, or actually, he suffocated is what. Anyway, so by the time we get the first guy to the landing, it's after dark. And the helicopter's there. They had taken a pickup down and hooked onto the ambulance and pulled them up the hill because the road sucked. We had to be able to put them in the ambulance to get them to the helicopter. And I'll get back to you in a second. Okay, so my first truck's here. I'm going to, I don't know how well, I may have to wait till after the trucks are loaded to finish, because having the light on inside the cab and so on and so forth. Anyway, so we'll try it. But so I got everybody in the correct position, doing the right things. You know, time is a factor, and so we're doing everything we can to in a timely fashion. God dang it, where all these bugs come from? Get these guys, you know, the medical attention they need. We get the first guy to the top of the hill, and God dang it, the one guy that I figured was my ace in the hole. He was going to be able to make every step along with me, you know, was going to have the physical, mental, emotional, and the stamina to get this job done. This guy was a mountain. He was huge. And he was one of the EMTs, but he was, you know, he was the type of guy that went to the gym every day, worked out, very good condition, you know, no body fat, the whole 9 yards. He absolutely was spent. Well, there's this other guy there that was pretty well overweight and hadn't worked in the brush for years. So I had to change him out, and this was the only other guy I had. I was worried about it. His weight, I was afraid was going to hinder us. but not having the extra body there to, to hold the weight. Anyways, turned out this guy was overweight, out of shape, smoked, the whole 9 yards, hadn't done anything physical in years, was a major key in rescuing these guys, getting these guys packed out. Physically, oh my, there was not much he couldn't do. He was stronger than an ox. And so anyways, by the time we got the third guy out into the landing, it was after 10 o'clock at night. And this guy had exhausted every ounce of anything he had ever had on getting this done and being able to, stay with us, not slow us down, so on and so forth, that he absolutely collapsed. We got the last guy to the landing, a couple of guys standing up there, kind of made the last little effort to get him on the flat, and this guy laid down. Probably one of the physically strongest, emotionally on top, battle-tested, experienced, been through everything logger, tough to the core, no heart, no soul, type deal. Absolutely on his hands and knees, exhausted, could not go another inch, and was crying, sobbing because of the things he'd said. So, the situations like this are absolutely not for the weak-hearted. That is one thing about these guys, supervisors, so on and so forth. EMTs, for your first responders, oh my God, they see this kind of stuff daily. And they get right back up the next day and go do it again. So, you have to respect and appreciate what they do. This guy, that image of him being on his hands and knees, raining like you cannot believe, dark, and people were walking over and trying to help him get up, and come on, let's go get in the pickup and take a break. He absolutely could not hear a word anybody was saying. He was emotionally, physically, mentally spent. He was done. And for that, he absolutely gets every bit of respect I've ever given to any logger for that act. But so when we get the second guy up, it was by this time we're into it a couple of 3 hours. We've already made one trip. It was kind of routine now. So we start back down over the hill for the deceased guy. And there's a county sheriff there. And he's like, why are you guys going back down there? And I'm like, we got a dead man down there. And he goes, oh, no. He goes, you can't move him till the coroner gets here to pronounce him dead. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And he's like, no, I'm serious. And I'm like, well, where the hell is he at? Well, he's, it's an on-call situation, so he is not available to be here till tomorrow afternoon. And I'm like, that ain't happening, buddy. So down the hill we go, and we're arguing with this guy, and he's doing absolutely everything he can not to step over this hill. Well, we keep going, so he has to keep following. By the time we get to the bottom of the hill, now he's decided that he is an officer of the law and you are going to listen to what I had to say, and he gets real aggressive about it. And he says, I'm going to say this one last time. If you do not stop right now, if you touch, move, or do anything with that body at all, I will arrest every one of you. And I lose my shit. I go completely bonkers. I'm screaming, yelling, freaking out. speaking in tongues, basically. I jump up, and I'm on my knees, hands and knees, you know, and I know the guy is gone, but I'm still doing everything I can to maneuver him into this basket as gingerly as possible. So I spring up, and I light right in the middle of this police officer's ass and start giving him the what for. And I tell him, listen, buddy, here's how it's going to go. There are 7 of us, 8 including you. You have 1 pair of handcuffs. And I stuck my hands out, so I said, you go ahead and use that 1 pair of handcuffs right now, because the rest of these guys are taking this boy up the hill. And they're all kind of standing there looking at me like maybe emotionally I was done. But I'm here to tell you, I don't care what the situation was. I don't care if it had been middle of summer and it was in a fairgrounds. That body was not staying the night there. So I tell this cop, I say, he's going up the hill. You got 2 choices. You fucking put your hands on that basket and help, or get the fuck out of my way. He stood on my right side, on the other side of the basket, and he made every step with us. And we get him to the top, get this kid to the top of the hill, and you know, the things are starting to wind down now. You know, it's not over, but it's over. The urgency of it's over. You can stop, take a second, breathe, so on. And the 2 things that I cannot get off my mind. One was every guy on my crew they were absolutely my heroes that day. They never hesitated, never questioned, never stopped to take a break. Every step, you know, they were right beside me, and there was no question about what the end result of this situation was going to be. You know, so after they'd already worked a week or 4 days and so many hours on the route, so they absolutely, my crew absolutely were my heroes that day, and my family. So it's time for me to go. It's late. I'm on the phone with my wife, and I am emotionally done. I'll never forget some of them images. They will forever be burned in my mind. So I called her and I told her, I said, hey, listen, you're going to have to meet me somewhere and drive, because I can't do it. I get to the bottom of the hill, and I'm still on the phone with the wife. This county sheriff lights me up. I told her what the situation was. And I said, so you might as well start. I told her what county, you know, it's this county, so that's where you're going to need to come to get me, because he's going to arrest me. She's like, are you sure? Are you sure? And I said, well, if I don't call you back in a half hour, you probably better call the jail. So he comes up. I got the window down, but I'm not looking at him. There's no way I'm going to look this guy in the face. Absolutely not. He can kiss my ass. I got no respect for you. And I'm looking in my mirror. I can see him, and he's looking at the ground, and I'm not looking at him. He sticks his hand on my left shoulder, and he says, you absolutely have to have balls of steel and got to be one of the toughest guys I have ever met to be able to coordinate every step of that rescue effort, maintain your composure, not get excited, you know, and keep everybody else from losing, you know, their composure, doing everything I could do to get this guys to medical attention in a timely fashion. And he says, plus, the way you looked me right in the eyes and told me to get fucked, he said, I respect you for what you did. I respect you for the reasons you did it. And he said, for myself, you've changed my life. And he turned around and walked away. So, a few miles down the road, I met the wife, and 10-4, thank you, sir. With that being said, officer put it in a comment. Anyways, maybe me and you should have a drink someday soon. So the moral to the story, the lesson we're trying to learn today is that, we know this is a very dangerous situation. Throughout the years, they have taken steps and made procedures to lessen the injury rate and death rate of the timber industry, and are still doing every effort they can to do that. It was not the guy that the mill representative that should have taken care of it. It wasn't his fault, because he went through every class, every training session, all of that to try and be prepared. But they had never put him in an actual situation, a real life trauma accident situation, to know how he would emotionally, mentally react to the situation. So really, it wasn't him that failed either, it was the system. Not that the training system isn't a good system, but when you simulate all of these situations, that's absolutely, at the end of the day, is all it is a simulation. So you truly don't know how they will react. And just like with that guy, he, in any other situation, down at a tavern on a Friday night with a few drinks in him, some punk ass kid smarts off to him, any other situation, was one of the toughest, meanest, could take lots of pain, like to fight man I'd ever met in my life. And what he went through and what we all seen and did emotionally, absolutely knocked him to his knees. Physically, the man was on his hands and knees. He could not physically, because of the emotional toll it took, make one more step at all. So, like I said, I get up every day. I know this industry is tough. It's one of the most dangerous industry there is, and I absolutely love it. And I know that any day could be the day that my number gets called, but I get up and do it anyways. I've heard people say, that Mother Nature, catastrophic events is a cold-hearted bitch. But I'm telling you right now, she ain't got nothing on them heartless, unforgiving logging gods. Because when they bring that black cloud over and decide to call this person's name, the situations that the other people and this person get put into are absolutely worse than anything any weather condition can ever do to your mind. That being said, the day comes and I hear them logging gods whisper my name, I will be the first guy to ever reach down as deep as I can with every bit of pride and respect I have for this industry, and in the deepest, the loudest wide open Jimmy screaming voice I can muster, I'll tell them, you want some? You come get some. There ain't no reason why we can't stay safe. Get logs. 10-4, friends.